Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Navis Nobilite, and we are talking about the Emperor-class battleship. And unlike the Retribution, the Emperor-class battleship begins to move into more of a hybrid position for battleship functionality in the Imperial Navy. So the Emperor-class battleship has a mostly standard battleship stat line. It has the 12 hits of your standard battleship. It only has 15 centimeter speed, 45-degree turn, 4 shields, 5 plus armor. There is no armored prow on this vessel, which means you cannot take a ram spike. And 5 turrets, leading up the more or less standard rule that carrier vessels have +1 turret. Now, in regards to weaponry, it has a port and starboard 60 centimeter range weapons battery at left and right. It has launch capacity 8 with the option of upgrading to take shark assault boats, which you should always take. Just take them. There's no reason not to. Assault boats are rare enough in the Imperial Navy. And the dorsal and prow weapons batteries, firing both front, left, right, at strength 5 each. Now, what this means is at 60 centimeters, you have a strength 16. Oh, I'm sorry. A strength 16 weapons battery that can fire in one arc. Now, that is phenomenal. Not only that, a strength 10 that can fire out the front. So this is actually a remarkably good gunship along with being a carrier. You can also, if you so desire, fire a strength 11 out each side. Curse this cold. But you'll find that the only situation where you'll do that is when you're playing against Eldar, which this vessel is notoriously good for doing. Just because, again, so much weapons battery potential at such long range. Now, the Emperor class battleship, unlike the Retribution, is really meant to take up your launch capacity requirement for any, 1500 or larger fleet. It has the same launch capacity as two dictators for less than the cost of two dictators. It's really meant to be okay. I want to have lots of guns, but I don't want to have to deal with buying cruiser based carriers. I want to have a nice sturdy carrier that makes a good flagship. Well, this is about as good as it gets. It also has the benefit of the sensor array in the front, which gives +1 to its leadership rating, which means you can purchase a cheaper commander. I usually purchase the leadership 8 commander for this thing simply because it automatically upgrades him to leadership 9. And basically, that's a 50-point shaving right off the top of your fleet where that can go into other things. So, the Emperor is a slow and ponderous vessel. It is a 15 centimeter mover. It's going to have trouble keeping up with your fleet. So, it's best situated at the aft of your fleet with the rest of your fleet spending its time upsetting the enemy, while this bombards the enemy with long range firepower and bombers or providing combat air patrol with its fighters. Also, with the Shark Assault boats, you can play Chaos's game and start disabling enemy systems from a decent distance away, because Sharks are quite fast. So ultimately, the Emperor is a far more commonly used vessel as a flagship than its brother, the Retribution, simply on the basis of it does so many things. It has a really good broadside. It takes up your launch capacity requirement. The only weakness of the Emperor is that it doesn't have a 6-up armored prow, which means no matter where you're shooting at it, you're going to be able to do some damage. And it's a giant frickin' target. Having all of your carrier capacity in one basket has its consequences because the enemy knows exactly where to shoot. So you can expect that the enemy is going to be coming for your Emperor, plain and simple. If the enemy has Nova Cannons, this is where the Nova Cannons are going to go. Fortunately, with its better turret capacity, it basically renders bombers irrelevant against this vessel. It's almost impossible to get a good bomber attack good bomber attack. Sorry about my coughing. Good bomber attack on this vessel simply because 5 turrets reduces any roll by 5. Not gonna happen even if you have a whole bunch of fighters for turret suppression. So generally speaking, the Emperor appears in most Imperial Navy fleet lists. It is a very commonly taken vessel. It's a very balanced ship. it just recognize that you shouldn't be sending this thing in right down the throat of the enemy. It's going to get its ass kicked. It's a huge target. It's a giant distraction Carnifex, and it's too expensive to be sacrificed. All right, I'm going to be moving on to the Apocalypse next. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll talk with you again soon.